Hey everybody, welcome back to the Golden Bolt. This week we're going to end our NES Mario Marathon with Mario 3. We just gotta... I'm gonna start at the end here. Mario 3 came out in 1988 in Japan and in 1990 in North America. For reference, Mario USA released in America about 2 weeks before Mario 3 hit in Japan. There was a 1.5 year long gap for localization. In the meantime, the Genesis had already come out and the Super Nintendo was only a year away by the time we finally got this game. Why am I noting this? Mario 3 was the highest grossing non-bundled game of all time until this decade. In fact, it was only definitively passed this year. It took Grand Theft Auto V over 2 years to dethrone Mario 3 as the highest grossing game after inflation. Yeah, I know GTA 5 was bundled with PS4s for a little while, but that's besides the point. It took 25 years and a game on 5 platforms to take down a game that came out at the end of the NES lifecycle. Mario 3 was huge, a phenomenon only rivaled by arcade mega hits such as Miss Pac-Man and Space Invaders, and, well, GTA 5. I'm sorry, I just had to make that quick note so that you guys understand just what kind of game we're dealing with here. Now, let me back up a bit. The reason Mario 3 took as long as it did to launch stateside is twofold. Because there was a chip shortage, and because Nintendo had to quickly modify Doki Doki Panic and release it as Mario USA by holiday. In fact, Nintendo's whole release schedule was screwed up by these two issues, not just Mario. With a lengthy delay in front of them, Nintendo made the best-worst decision in gaming history. They worked with Universal Studios to create a movie that was, to steal a phrase from IGN, a 90-minute Nintendo commercial. Yep, The Wizard. This terrible, terrible movie was the premiere of Mario 3 to North American audiences. That is the only thing worth discussing about that movie in the scope of this review. Besides that, there's not much to discuss about this game's backstory really. The game turned out the way it did due to a slight shift in Miyamoto's creative focus. He opened a line of communication with all of the team members, allowing ideas to flow freely. And, well, you can tell by how the game turned out. While Mario 1 is short and simple, Mario 3 is absolutely packed with innovation and content. If there's something you like about Mario that isn't running, jumping, the Fire Flower, or Yoshi, it probably started here. Hell, even Yoshi was going to start here, but the NES couldn't handle the little guy. Where Mario USA was a dream, Mario 3 is a play. In this play, Peach has Mario travel to 7 different kingdoms in the Mushroom Kingdom. I guess this world has some kind of weird feudal system going on. At each castle, Mario finds that the king of each land has been turned into a creature. To turn them back, he braves his way through an onslaught of airships to fight one of the Koopalings, a group of 7 siblings that are ambiguously related to Bowser. After saving all 7, surprise, Bowser kidnaps Peach and Mario goes to Bowser's castle to take his princess back yet again. Mario wins, Bowser butt-slams himself to death, Peach says our princess is in another castle, Mario hits Peach for that bad joke, and the curtain drops. The end. I don't have too much specific to say here, but I'm gonna open with some disclosure. I wasn't a fan of Mario 3 until this retrospective. I saw what people liked, but it didn't click with me until I went through all 4 NES Mario games back to back. Now that I've done so, I can objectively say that this is how you do a 2D Mario game. This game feels almost perfect, and it does so immediately. There is no slow burn realization here. Playing Mario 3 is one of the best examples of a positive feedback loop for all players. First, the basics. The controls, simply put, are the same as Mario 1, except now Mario has momentum. Like, real momentum. This meter on the bottom right is the P meter, and this shows your current speed. This is perfect for expert players who want to rack up a high score or try and find the perfect route. But if you look to the right of the HUD, you'll see why this game is perfect for inexperienced players as well. These 3 slots hold cards, which you obtain after beating every regular level. When you collect 3, you get a certain number of extra lives based on what kind of cards you get. You get 2 extra lives for all mushrooms, 3 for all flowers, and 5 for all stars. Here's the key though, if you screw up and don't match, you still get 1 extra life. You are constantly rewarded for simply playing the game. To bring it full circle, if you have a maxed out P meter, you're guaranteed a star card, so expert players can effectively get 5 extra lives every 3 levels or so. No matter who you are, you're being implicitly thanked for playing. There are tons of other ways to collect lives or extra power-ups too, from these toad houses where you pick a random chest, to a matching game, to a slot machine. Now I hear you saying, wait, extra power-ups? Yeah, you're not limited to just 1 power-up anymore. You can hoard as many as you can handle, though when you use one, both it and any power-up you're currently using are gone. This adds a ton of strategy to the mix. When do I use my super rare Hammer Bros suit? When should I use a P-Wing to cheese through a level? Oh yeah, I should probably discuss the new power-ups too. There are so many power-ups in this game, I'm just gonna go ahead and list them off. There's the Super Mushroom, Starman, and Fire Flower as before. There's the Raccoon Suit, which lets you smack enemies with your tail, slow your falls by tapping the jump button while descending, and when your P-meter is maxed out, you can temporarily fly by mashing the jump button as well. There's the rare Tanuki Suit, which is the same as the Raccoon Suit, except when you press down, you turn into a statue and plummet to the ground. There's the P-Wing, which is a Raccoon Suit that gives you a permanently maxed out P-meter for one level before becoming a normal Raccoon Suit. This means you can fly forever in that level, and god is that fun for those difficulty spikes. There's the Hammer Bro Suit, which lets you become a Hammer Bro. There's the Karibo Shoe, also known as the Goomba Shoe, which negates damage from spikes. And there's the Frog Suit, which makes you useless on land but gives you an amazing amount of control when underwater. Mario becomes incredibly versatile in these levels because of all these different power-ups, but his best ability is his ability to stop. The team behind this game absolutely perfected the control. Again, I didn't knowingly appreciate it before this review, but I can stop on a dime in this game. There is no landing lag that prevents you from jumping after landing as in Mario 1. There is no sliding if you don't want there to be. Tight platforming becomes manageable and even enjoyable. Deaths feel like they're my fault, not the game's fault. It's just phenomenal. Now here's the kicker for this game. The overworld. I know, it's something so obvious that you probably don't even think about it anymore, but coming off the previous games, the overworld is possibly my favorite addition to Mario 3. For one, there's suddenly a choice. The game is no longer decidedly linear. If I don't like level 3, I can normally go around it. There are the Toad Houses or the card game levels to break the pace if I need an extra power-up or something. If I'm stuck, I can use the overworld power-ups. There's the hammer that I can use to break certain rocks in the way of alternate paths, there's the cloud that gives you the ability to fly right over a level if it's giving you trouble, and there's even the warp whistle which lets you jump straight to another world if you use it. On top of all these things are the overworld enemies. These guys scurry across the overworld and will cause a sort of mini-boss fight if you run into them. These are almost always Hammer Bros, Boomerang Bros, which, well, are Hammer Bros with boomerangs, or Sumo Bros, these obese Hammer Bros that can stun you with a shockwave. Again, they're here to add to the strategy of the game and make the experience more crafted for you, not designed equally for everybody, and I love that. If I have one complaint about the game, it's the inconsistent difficulty. Some levels feel out of place because of a difficulty spike or what have you, but these overworld power-ups and the branching level paths make up for that greatly. Hell, even within levels there are usually branching paths of some sort, giving any player with any level of experience a way to finish the level. And with 90 levels, that is a necessity. Yeah, you heard me right, 90. That's about as many levels as in Mario 1, 2, and 2 combined, if we don't count Worlds A through D and Lost Levels, which nobody ever really got to. That said, the levels tend to be on the shorter side, coming in almost bite-sized chunks a lot of the time. If you told me at first that this was a handheld game, I wouldn't be surprised because of how portable this game seems to be. It's still a meaty game either way, and I'm totally fine with the short levels since every level looks and feels unique. Gone are the basic level types of Mario 1, now we have worlds that feel dynamic. There's your basic grassland, the hot and dry desert land, Waterland, the appropriately named Giant Land where everything is oversized except Mario, the cloud-themed Skyland, Iceland, the mazy Pipeland, and the home of Bowser, Darkland. Obviously some of these sound tame now considering Mario has used these themes for the past 25 years, but each level within the world has its own personality. It's not just blocks arranged a certain way, it's theming. I feel like I'm actually progressing through a world here, not just interconnected levels that sort of, almost, kind of fit together. There are still your usual castle levels and such, in fact there are actually more of them. Now there are these little mini fortresses guarded by the incredibly incompetent Boom Boom. But there are also these new airship levels replacing castles as the final levels of each world. These actually give off the vibe of a war zone. Mario is actually going through palpable danger to save the Mushroom Kingdom. And this all works because there are so many new enemies as well. There are the aforementioned Hammer Bro variants. There are these Paragoombas which airdrop tiny little Goombas to attack you. There are Spikes which vomit up spiky balls and throw them at you. There are Boos now, and these weird-ass Boo platform things. There are these giant Cheep Cheeps called Big Berthas, which I swear are doing their best impression of AVGN's frown. There are Chain Chomps, there's an angry sun that chases Mario. This game has everything. This game even has friggin' slopes, and Mario Maker doesn't even have that yet. I know, a lot of this review so far has been me listing things, but if you hadn't noticed, a lot of my previous 2 Mario reviews were either complaints or discussing how weird Mario USA is. There's a reason Mario 1 didn't get its own review, and it's the same reason I don't have much to say here. Mario 1 and 3 are simple games. The reason I'm listing things right now is because that's the key difference between these two games. things. Mario 3 handles infinitely better, of course, but the game itself is so chock full of content, and I have so little by way of disagreements or issues, that the best way to get across this game's worth without physically putting a controller in your hand and saying, play this, is by listing stuff. I could have used a more balanced difficulty curve and maybe a tad more boss variety. Boom Boom and the Koopalings are nice, but they're still kinda samey. But otherwise the game is essentially perfect. Well, that's not entirely true, I really don't like World 7 that much. It always seemed to me like that world's focus on puzzles was just the developers trying to screw with players. Either way, the game's getting a golden bolt for its gameplay. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Visually speaking, Mario 3 is hands down my favorite NES Mario game. There is a single nitpick I have about the visuals, and it's that coins sometimes have a discolored box around them in certain levels. It's clearly a hardware limitation, but it's at least worth noting. Everything else though, again, is perfect. There can be so much on screen at any one point. For example, in some of the underwater levels you'll see coral or dozens of jellyfish just floating around screen at once. One of my favorite examples of this is in World 5, where you teleport to the sky half of the world and you can clearly see the first half of the world in the distance on the ground below. That's just cool, it expands the scope of the world to me and again, makes it feel like a cohesive world. There's just so much attention to detail and so much love put into this game that it makes me love this game too. And the music, while not quite as iconic as in Mario 1, is still some fantastic work by Koji Kondo. For one, there's a lot of it. Believe it or not, this is the first review for Mario where I actually have enough music to play in the background for the whole video. Secondly, there are multiple different themes that can play for any type of level, meaning you won't hear the same few songs nearly as much. Lastly, the overworlds have their own themes as well, which do an amazing job of setting the tone for the levels to come. Again, when there's a game this solid, there's not much to say. It's the epitome of Mario, simple but refined. Mario 3 is getting a golden bolt for its presentation as well. If you haven't played Mario 3 yet and you like platformers, what are you waiting for? This game holds up so insanely well that you won't need more than a minute to get yourself calibrated before you're off having fun. While I enjoy Mario USA for its sense of adventure, and I respect Mario 1 for what it did for the industry, Mario 3 made me feel something more, a sense of joy, just pure, unfiltered fun. There's a reason Mario 3 is considered one of the greatest games of all time, and it's because it is. Again, like the other games, it's $5 on the eShop. If you had to pick one NES Mario game, pick this one. It'll be worth it, I promise. So now that we're done with Mario 3, and by extension the entire NES Mario series, we've tackled plumbers, super fighting robots, whales, raccoons, and whatever the hell a Lombax is. What's next?
Oh, wait, where are you going? I'm still laughing. Okay, I'm done.